Yeah, I am Fem Fel and this is Hood Visions.
Okay, so Mr. Fem Fel, what's good, man?
What's happening?
How's everything going, really?
I can't lie, it's going well, you know. It's been like, I took like 18 months out, just working and writing and producing and learning to produce and that, and learning to songwrite properly and that. And since then I've come back, and it's kind of come back with a bang. Surprisingly, it's been taken by people that I thought would kind of have let my stuff go because it's changed a little bit, but everyone likes it, man. I can't complain.
So obviously you've been making music for a long time.
Yeah.
Like, how long have you been making music?
Oh, I'd say 2006. 2006 I started properly, officially, because before that I was in prison. So that, yeah, 2006 when I came out of prison I started working and recording and stuff with SM1.
And while the time you was in prison, did that kind of influence you to start making music?
Yeah. I never actually was into music at all before. Until I went to prison, I was in my cell with my best pal, my co-D, and I just started rhyming to Cool Mega, and he's like, right, you're actually good, keep at it. And after a while, I kept rhyming and rhyming. I built up the confidence to go to the exercise yard and do that typical rap battle kind of thing, and everyone, the reaction was good, and from then I was like, cool, I'm gonna make myself the best as I can be, and that was it from there.
And when you did that, was that when you came out of jail? Did the first mixtape come soon after?
No, came ages, like a year and a half. Cause it was like practicing it. I had to keep like kind of practicing, getting into it. I'd done a few things with Welcome to Boomsville, and even before that there was The Beginning, that's the SO1 mixtape, and a few other mixtapes, and that was me kind of finding myself, finding my feet in the rap thing, you know, and obviously learning from like gigs and everyone else, Buck and everyone else that was doing at the moment. Gets was on the mixtapes and all the people were on the mixtapes, and that kind of helped me like kind of climatize and get into it, and like, yeah, from then I was like, I hit the floor running.
So when you did like the first couple mixtapes, so 3, 4, 5, Volume 1 and 2,
yeah.
and walk me through kind of your mind state at each mixtape.
That's a wicked question. 3, 4, 5, Volume 1 was like, how can I put it? It was like everything I had wrote that I loved in prison. That was me coming out and kind of putting them into songs and scrapping loads and realising that things that I thought were good in prison were not really good out in the trap, do you know what I mean? So it's like, I put them aside and kept the good things like Renegade. That's the first thing I ever actually really wrote. And I wrote that, and that's like my favourite track on 3, 4, 5, Volume 1, the first mixtape. And my mind state then was pretty raw, to be honest. Home, angry, hungry, stressed, but happy to be home, making a bit of money, you know what I mean? And I think that's what the mixtape kind of put out there. Oozing with street confidence, I'd say. I won't really say personal confidence, but confidence on the road and that. And I think that's what the mixtape was. But at the same time, I still kind of I've always been kind of like an emotional person, not like Drake or nothing like that, but I mean, like, I know how to talk my feelings and emotions, so a lot of the tracks still representing some of that, and yeah, and looking at the road and streets from a different angle rather than just the aggressive, angry, money, financial kind of way, but the kind of deeper things of the road and the struggles we go through and that, and I kind of addressed that on the mixtape before people were doing it. I know after a while it became the cool thing to do, to talk about pain and struggle, but when everyone was talking about kind of banger and that, I was incorporating pain and struggle into that as well, because I've always kind of rapped from my heart basically, and that's how I was feeling, so I put it out there. And
that was kind of similar with, like, you could say the kind of the style of rap in terms of talking about your actual life situations has kind of transformed from the first mixtapes even up until now, would you say?
Yeah, it's always been the same. The biggest thing I say to people, when people talk to me about my music and that, like, my music basically represents who I am and where I'm at the time, so I'm always going to be kind of like deep thinking person, so my music's always going to have some deep sort of thoughts and deep tracks in them, and at the same time, if I'm out on a road doing whatever I'm doing, and as a 21-year-old, my music's going to represent that, whereas now as a 28, 29-year-old, my music's going to change then as well, you know, and I think that's what my music will always represent myself. So wherever I go, if I become a surfer one day, I'm going to be rapping about surfing because I represent what I'm doing in my life. I don't ever try to misrepresent my life, because I think that's when you kind of go wrong and you kind of lose yourself.
And do you like, because obviously at the moment in the UK, I find like a lot of people would say real rap is just talking about being on the road, gun busting, selling drugs, doing this, doing that, and doing all the things that most people that are actually on the road are trying to get away from.
Yeah.
Like, but if you talk about anything other than what's classified as real rap, you're not rapping. Like, so like, would you say that if you did, for example, ever become a surfer and you started talking about that stuff, you think people would call you fake?
Yeah, most definitely. People probably call me fake now for making like the EP I made, but it's like, it's not for anybody else to call you fake, it's for you to know what you're feeling, because you can be real to everyone else and still be fake to yourself. I'll be totally honest with you. 2 years ago, I was like in transition where I didn't even like the music I was making, but I was making it because people liked it. For instance, the Ring Ring Trap track. People think that's one of my best verses I've ever done with Fecky. It's a big tune, and I'm happy that I've done that because it kept my relevance at the time. But to be honest with you, I was at a stage where I didn't even want to talk about that kind of stuff no more. You know, so though it's a real track and my verses were really real, I honestly felt fake because I didn't really want to talk about that kind of stuff. And you can hear in the verse, I'm talking about buying property and being humble and whatnot. On the track where everyone was talking about champagne and busting bottles and that, do you know what I mean? But it's because, like, though I may be perceived as being real on the track, if I spoke about anything else than what I did speak about, I'd be being fake to myself, even though it's real to everybody else. So I think being real and fake is a tricky one, but I think it's about how you feel within yourself, not about how everyone else perceives you.
And you think because of your transition, your target audience has now changed?
Of course, my target audience has changed and will change for a numerous amount of things. For one, people change and grow up, including myself, including the fans that I had. So I know, for instance, there's a guy that used to love what I used to do, and he was like 17, 16 at the time, coming up from the same area as me, and he used to always message me and whatnot. Now he's a member of Parliament, you know what I mean? Always working to get into Parliament. So people change, don't they? You know what I mean? So I respect that, and if he didn't feel the music, if I was still making that music and he didn't feel it no more, I'd go respect that, because people change. I've changed, and people have to acclimatise, adjust to it or not adjust to it, you know. So I understand people change and people grow, and you can't, if you grow, your music has to grow as well. It's not about growing and your music staying the same, because then you're a contradiction to yourself as well.
Yeah. You know? And so with all this change kind of thing, you feel like your message, like in general, has changed from the tone of the hard tone back when you first started to now, like what is the kind of message you're trying to put out there?
It's mad. The message has changed, but I won't say the message hasn't changed as much as people would assume it would, because the message has always been, it never used to be a message, to be honest with you, it was selfish. It was about me just talking about what I'm doing and what I'm living and how I'm enjoying my life. But like, I have a track called Tired, and I think on volume 2, when I'm talking about all the beef going on in the area and how you should stop and it's long and blah blah blah. So I've always kind of portrayed that message, you know, but it was a bit of a contradiction to how I was living, and probably why I'd have one song that's really positive and the next second a song that's really negative, because my life at the time was very positive and very negative at the same time, you know. Whereas as I've grown and I've become a bit better financially stable as well, I think the negativity I'm losing a bit more because my life has become a bit more positive, so therefore my music's become a bit more positive. So I won't say I've changed my message, I think it's just people need to kind of take what you can from my music rather than take everything as gospel, because my life is individually my life, not everybody else's. So you just got to relate to what you can. You're not going to relate to everything because it's my life, you know. And I think that's why it hasn't totally changed. I think it's just a bit different because I'm a bit different. And
do you feel that the change has allowed you to go further? So obviously, like, this new EP is like the sound of it, the sonics of it is completely different to Fem Fel 345 Volume 1. And obviously, I don't know, or you can tell me, correct me, but like anything from them old mixtapes, I don't think they got like broadcasted on national radio or got covered by like the bigger blogs and whatnot. Like, and on this new EP they have been. Do you feel like because of the music has changed and it's a bit more universal, like these other people are accepting it and trying to promote it more?
Most definitely. I think it's just because the fact of the matter is, I don't like to call it gangster rap, but for the purpose, let's call it gangster rap. Gangster rap's only liked by a certain amount of people in England. Not America, it's different, but in England, you know. So if you're catering for a small audience, radios that are going to support you are going to be radios for a small audience, and the people that are going to support you are going to be for small audiences. And I think, yeah, the sound has become a bit more global, but not because I haven't emulated anybody's sound. Because if you hear the stuff I've done on the EP, there's nothing out there like it. It's more of just my sound. And I think what happened was my taste in music changed, and if my taste in music changes, I think the music's going to change as well. And I think that's what happened. It was not a thing where I made a mental decision that I'm going to change my music to make it a bit more global. I think I just like the music that I like now is a bit more for everybody. So the music I make is a bit more for everybody.